Have you ever considered how completely your life can shift based on the goals you embrace? It's not about your skills, but about the meaning those goals hold for you. Every day, you invest energy, time, emotions, and choices in something. The core question is, what's at the heart of your life? I've learned that setting a goal isn't just about planning your future. It's explicitly deciding the cost of your journey. Every decision, every effort, every moment of focus and energy has a destination. So the crucial question is your current goal truly worthy of you? The challenge isn't your aptitude for the target, it's the target's compatibility with you. I remember a conversation with my father when I was obsessed with buying a house. He asked, "It's just a house, is it that important?" I replied, "It's not the house. It's who I become in getting it." That's the essence. The value of a purpose isn't in the object, but in the transformation required to achieve it. That's what shapes you, expands your nature. Now ask yourself, how many times have you settled for less because it was easier? How many times have you given up on big dreams thinking, "That's not for me"? Most people do. They see the desire, feel the difficulty, and downsize their dreams to fit comfortably into their comfort zone. The result? A life dedicated to goals that don't truly move them. Consider your life. Would you trade years of hard work for a luxury car or more material comfort? Probably not. That will never fill the void of living below your potential. What matters is finding a purpose that truly excites you, a goal that, when shared, might elicit laughter, but ignites an unquenchable flame within you. I've witnessed this countless times. Ordinary people who chose audacious goals, and precisely because they were audacious, grew so much they barely recognized themselves. And the most surprising thing, when you choose something grand, seemingly unbelievable, you discover unimaginable strength. It's as if there's dormant energy waiting for the moment you dare to ask for more from life. Here's a hard but liberating truth. Life isn't a rehearsal. There's no practice run. It's a one-shot deal. What will you invest this unique opportunity in? Debt, repetitive weekends, counting down to the next long holiday, or something that makes every day precious? I challenge you, write down a goal so audacious that just imagining it makes your heart race. Nothing easy. Write something that, if achieved, would make you cry tears of joy. It doesn't matter if it seems impossible now. It doesn't matter if you don't know how. Just write it. Because the moment you decide this is your purpose, life starts conspiring in your favor. Believe me, nothing is more powerful than living each day knowing you're trading your life for something truly valuable. For a long time, I believed power resided outside me. Maybe you felt that too, believing you need the approval of others, external financial resources, the perfect opportunity, or a stroke of luck to change your life. It's like waiting for something external to set you free. But the truth is different. Everything you need already resides within you. I remember a directionless time. I worked jobs that only required a physical presence, fixing tires, cleaning floors, pumping gas. I believed I lacked talent, formal education, any advantage. But there was something I didn't understand. The inherent creative energy within all of us, constantly waiting to be shaped by a decision, a mental image, an unwavering conviction. Then I began to understand that the mistake was seeking external support. I remembered a phrase I reread many times. Don't rely on external support, because it can fail, and when it fails, you lose your strength. But if you trust your inner power, nothing can take it from you. And I started practicing that. Ask yourself, how many times have you postponed a dream due to lack of resources? How many times have you told yourself you weren't ready, lacked experience, or that the timing wasn't right? This happens to almost everyone. But the question is, how many opportunities did you miss because of it? Science has proven that over 80% of our daily decisions are based on fear, not desire. Fear of insecurity, failure, judgment. But what if I told you that fear exists because you look outward, because within you there's no fear? There's only energy waiting to be used. I'll never forget injuring my thumb on a circular saw as a teenager. It shattered me. I felt planless, futureless. That feeling that everything is lost. That's exactly what I felt. But today I understand. What seemed like a devastating accident was the trigger that showed me I couldn't depend on external factors for strength. Because the body can fail, circumstances change, but the creative energy flowing within us is unwavering. Have you noticed how someone passionate about a goal gains inexplicable strength? Wakes up earlier, works harder, finds previously invisible solutions? It's not magic, it's internal energy being directed. That energy is within you now. Maybe it hasn't been given direction yet, and that's why you feel lost. But the moment you decide to rely on it, everything changes. So consider, what if the secret isn't waiting for life to change, but realizing you already possess the power to shape that change? What if what's missing isn't money, opportunity, luck, but simply the decision to use what already exists within you? I discovered that by trusting your inner power, you stop spinning your wheels. You begin to attract circumstances, people, and situations that seem magical, but are reflections of what you've come to believe about yourself. Everything you need is already within you. The question is, are you willing to trust that power now? Most people fail to use their most powerful tool, imagination. Since childhood, we're taught to stop daydreaming, to stop fantasizing, because it's not practical. But it's that ability to imagine that builds everything that exists. Nothing would have been created without first existing in someone's mind as an image, a desire, or a seemingly impossible fantasy. I remember countless times sitting alone in a restaurant with pen and paper, just letting my mind wander. I built detailed scenes of how I wanted my life to be. Often it seemed crazy, but those fantasies gave me energy, direction. Over time, I realized they weren't daydreams. They were plans being shaped in the invisible before manifesting in the visible. Now think, when was the last time you allowed yourself to imagine without limits? Not how to pay bills, how to solve an immediate problem, but to create a grand vision without restrictions. Most people worry about bills, traffic, routine, as if that's all there is, and they live trapped in endless repetition without realizing that the way out is to use imagination. I learned that imagination is the starting point of all achievements. It transforms energy into form, and every clear image charged with emotion that you create becomes a magnet to attract what's needed. Look at Steve Jobs, considered eccentric, even insane, for refusing to believe that computers should be just cold, complex machines. He envisioned something elegant, intuitive, almost artistic. And that vision, repeated 1,000 times in his mind, transformed the technology industry and the lives of billions of people. But I understand you might think, what if I imagine something grand and fail? It's a common objection. And I say, true failure isn't not achieving, but never having dared to imagine. Because when you become emotionally involved with a mental image, you move in a different direction. Even if the immediate results aren't what you expected, the process transforms you into someone more creative, bolder, and closer to what you desire. There's a crucial detail. When visualizing something, imagine it as if it were already real. The mistake is projecting it to some future day. But the future doesn't exist, only the now. By creating the image in the present, your subconscious understands that it's already part of your reality and begins to work to align external conditions with the internal image. I've seen people start by writing on a piece of paper, "I own my own business," repeating the phrase and visualizing what it would be like to serve clients, manage teams, feel the satisfaction of seeing the company thrive. Months later, they started seeing opportunities arise, connections happen, unexpected resources appear. None of this would have happened without the image, the emotion, and the daily repetition of that vision. The curious thing is that by consistently imagining, something changes in your expression, posture, way of speaking. Others notice, even without understanding. It's as if you carry an invisible conviction that attracts exactly what you imagined. So I ask, do you remember what it's like to dream without limits? Can you rescue the child who believed everything was possible? That ability never went away. It was just stifled. By using it again, you'll see that imagination is the secret workshop where every true achievement is born. And if you decide now to create a bold, detailed image charged with emotion, you'll be surprised by how quickly life will begin to move in the direction of that vision. Many people spend their entire lives letting money decide what they can or cannot do. The first question before any dream is, how much does it cost? And if there's no money, the dream is buried. But money should never be the first question. Money is a consequence, not a condition. What matters is the decision. From the moment you truly decide, circumstances begin to align. I remember a couple who wanted to buy a house but were frustrated because they said they didn't have enough money. They repeated, we can't afford it. I said, you haven't decided to buy the house yet. The money isn't needed until the decision is made. They were confused because since childhood, they had learned that you needed the resources first. But the order is reversed. The decision opens the doors, not the money. Shortly after, they found the house of their dreams and within 2 months were living in it. The opportunities and resources arose because finally they committed to the decision. Now be honest, how many plans have you abandoned due to lack of money at the time? How many trips, courses, projects or businesses fell by the wayside because you believed that lack of resources was the end of the line? This happens to most people, and it's curious because research shows that over 70% of people's daily worries are directly related to money, not because it's truly lacking, but because people let the fear of not having it control their choices. By putting money as the initial barrier, you give it the power to decide the size of your life. But when you put the decision first, you connect to something much bigger. That's how I got out of low-paying jobs with no prospects and started a business that in its first year earned me over $100,000. A considerable amount, without experience, without formal training, without the necessary capital. If I had waited for the perfect conditions, I would still be trapped in that limited life. Money always comes after the decision because the decision activates your creativity. It forces you to see paths that were previously invisible. Suddenly, you notice opportunities that were there all along, but only reveal themselves when you're committed. The opposite is also true. When you hesitate and put money as a condition, you paralyze yourself, and everything around you remains closed. I want you to reflect on this. What if you decided today that that dream, the course, the company, the trip, is already your goal without putting the price as the first barrier? What would change in your way of thinking, in your attitudes? You don't need all the answers now. You just need to decide. Life is generous to those who truly commit. When you take the first step, resources, people, and circumstances begin to appear as coincidences. But they're not coincidences. They're answers to your decision. So never look at the price before choosing. First decide if you really want it, then let life show you the way. I'll never forget a seminar where a man approached me, visibly skeptical. He barely paid attention until the break when he said, almost mockingly, "My goal is to get a covered parking space in the building where I work." I looked at him and thought, how can someone limit their life so much? I replied, that can kill you. I can show you how to buy the whole building. He was shocked, but that conversation was a turning point. Over time, he opened his mind, grew in his career, and became the president of a large company, all because he decided to stop accepting small limitations imposed by himself and the environment. That's one of the biggest problems I see. Most people don't fail because they dream too big. They fail because they dream too small. They settle for small goals just because they're afraid of being called crazy. But tell me, who achieved something grand in history wasn't called crazy before? The Wright brothers were ridiculed when they said they were going to fly. Thomas Edison was discredited countless times before inventing the light bulb. Henry Ford was called ignorant for believing he could create an affordable car for everyone. The truth is, if people aren't calling your dream exaggerated or impossible, maybe it's not big enough, because a true goal should stretch you, force you to become someone bigger, and that scares others. The world is full of people who gave up on their own dreams and now feel uncomfortable when someone dares to pursue theirs. They'll try to bring you back to the average so you don't make them feel small. And if you listen too much to those voices, you'll end up believing that their limit is also yours. I've experienced this myself. When I started speaking on large stages and delivering messages of change to executives of large companies, many looked at me with disbelief. Some thought, who is this man without formal education to talk about success? but I learned not to let external judgment determine what I was capable of doing. Because ultimately, what others think doesn't pay your bills, doesn't build your life, doesn't fulfill your dreams. That's your responsibility. Have you ever stopped to think how many times you've stopped trying something because someone said it was too difficult? How many opportunities have you missed for fear of looking ridiculous? This is one of the most common fears, the fear of judgment. But if you look back, you'll realize that the people who have made the biggest mark on history are precisely those who had the courage to face that judgment and move forward. So the question I ask you now is, will you continue adjusting your dreams to fit within the expectations of others, or will you decide to expand your life to fit within the dream you really want? The difference between a small goal and a large goal is that the small one keeps you in the same place, while the large one transforms you. And that transformation, in itself, is already a victory. Don't let the limitations of others become yours. Use every criticism as fuel, because if someone says it's impossible, that's just a sign that you're on the right track. After all, it's precisely where everyone says you can't go, that's the territory of those who dare to write their own story. Every idea that is born in your mind is like a seed, and just as a physical seed needs the earth to germinate, your idea needs fertile ground within you, made of faith, emotion, and repetition. When you hold an image with enough force, when you feel as if it were already real, that idea begins to attract everything that is necessary to manifest. There's no way to be different because it's a law. I've seen this happen many times. I remember Eddie, a man who needed to raise $1 million in 90 days, in addition to all the other obligations he already had. For most people, this would seem absurd, an impossible weight to carry. But he had already played enough with these principles to know that he didn't need to know how. He just needed to decide that it would be done, and in 90 days, the money was there. Not because someone handed it over ready-made, but because the circumstances, the people, and the opportunities began to align with the decision he had planted in his mind, like a seed. The same law applies when you plant seeds of fear. The Bible says that Job said, "That which I feared came upon me." Fear is just the negative side of the same law. If you insist on maintaining images of failure, scarcity, loss, you are also feeding seeds. And life doesn't distinguish between fear or desire. It simply responds to what you emphasize. That's why you need to be extremely careful with the images you feed your mind every day. How many times do you catch yourself repeating thoughts like, "It won't work," "I don't have money," "I'm not good enough"? Every time you do this, you're watering a seed that will sooner or later bear fruit, and those fruits are usually bitter. I always say that when you truly decide, the universe conspires in your favor. It's not a figure of speech, it's a universal truth. Your decision changes your energy, and that energy attracts previously invisible resources. Think of changing radio stations. You don't create the music, it already exists. You just tune into it. The same is true with your ideas. By visualizing a goal with conviction, you connect to everything you need to achieve it. I've witnessed incredible transformations in people who adopted simple practices. I remember someone who desperately wanted an important award. I suggested that he take a picture holding the trophy, even if it was a replica or a montage. By repeating this visualization daily, he internalized the feeling of victory. The result? Shortly after, he was on stage, actually holding the award in front of thousands of people. The crucial question now is, what seeds are you planting in your mind? Because consciously or not, you're planting something. If it's not a noble purpose, you may be nurturing worries, fears, and limitations. I want to propose a challenge. Choose a grand goal, something that excites your heart. Write it in the present tense, as if it were already a reality. I am a best-selling author, or I live in the house of my dreams. For 30 days, visualize this daily with emotion, as if it were already your reality. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the peace of living that moment. Do this without fail, just 1 month. If you accept this challenge, you will witness something extraordinary, because life always responds to what you plant. The question is not whether there will be fruits, but what kind of seeds you choose, seeds of greatness or seeds of fear. There's a truth that many ignore. New results require a renewed identity. Dreaming big is useless if you remain trapped in the belief that you are a limited person. Life doesn't respond to what you ask for, but to what you are. And what you are today reflects the image you nurture of yourself. I learned this in practice. In the fire department, nothing in me screamed success. I had little education, no business experience, and limited ambitions. My self-image was of someone ordinary, destined to live paycheck to paycheck. And that's exactly what I attracted. Nothing extraordinary happened, because I didn't believe I could, until I started changing the way I saw myself. Ask yourself, how many times have you wanted to change your life, but an inner voice said, "You're not that kind of person"? How many times have you let a burning ambition fizzle out because you felt you weren't talented enough, mature enough, or simply ready? That inner voice, your self-perception, wields far more power than you realize. Studies show that a whopping 95% of our decisions are on autopilot, driven by deeply ingrained beliefs about who we think we are. Want financial freedom, endless travel, a life bursting with purpose? Great. But if your inner narrative whispers you're unworthy or incapable, you'll sabotage every attempt. I remember my first cleaning business. I knew squat about business, but I started crafting a new self-image, a thriving entrepreneur leading a booming company. I visualized myself walking into offices, sealing deals, leaving clients ecstatic. The image was so vivid, it became my reality. The result? Over 100 grand in 12 months, unheard of for a fireman. The truth is, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are. Michael Jordan didn't become the GOAT by simply wishing. He was the GOAT in his mind, long before the trophies piled up. Confidence, dedication, grit. It all stemmed from the self-image he meticulously cultivated. So, be honest. What picture are you painting of yourself? Do you see yourself as creative, capable, deserving, or stuck, perpetually falling short? That silent image shapes your entire outcome. The challenge? Consciously choose a new version of you. Detail who you want to be. Thoughts, speech, actions, even wardrobe, how you handle setbacks. Write it down, read it daily, until it's etched into your very being. Shift your self-perception, and everything around you will fall into alignment. It's not the world that needs fixing, it's you. Transforming your self-image inevitably transforms your life. Your current reality is merely a mirror reflecting the identity you've embraced. For extraordinary results, create a breathtakingly grand vision of yourself and live into it. That's the key. Ready to level up? Check out the next video. It'll help you become 1% better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.